Hey, I'm Marshall.
And I'm Anna, and today we're talking about being humble. And I think for me, what that looks like is not thinking more of yourself than someone else.
Absolutely. I looked it up and I found a few things. The first thing is you don't go around talking about yourself. And the second thing is you search after peace rather than being right.
And that one's super hard, especially if you have any siblings. Choosing peace over being right, very hard for me.
Absolutely. And it leads great into our big idea today, and that Jesus is a humble king. So let's go watch this video and check it out.
Why do Adam and Eve do math every day? They were told to be fruitful and multiply. So one time, my friends and I had a job of making cookies, and it all seemed to be going really well. The dough smelled good, tastes good. We put it in the oven. When the cookies came out, they were completely flat and burnt. So we were very humbled in that moment. Today, we're beginning in a new series called The Rock. And no, this isn't about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. This series is about the original rock, the foundation of our lives, Jesus. In God's story, we are nearing the end of Jesus' time on earth. He's beginning the journey to his death and rising from the dead. But as we get nearer to the end, we see more and more clearly who he is and what he came to do on earth. Jesus really did come to show us God's love, save us from sin, and set up his kingdom. And Jesus' kingdom looks very different from any other kingdom here on earth. You see, kings are usually pretty arrogant, pretty into making sure other people serve them, all about who they are and keeping power for themselves. But Jesus is a very different kind of king. Jesus is a humble king, and that's today's big idea. But before I go any further, you may be wondering, what does it even mean to be humble? Well, being humble means not thinking of yourself as greater than anyone else. Humble is to not be arrogant or think too highly of yourself. For example, if I won a gold medal in a race, I wouldn't go around to all my friends and say, "Look how great of a runner I am. See my medal? See? No. Instead, I might let them know that I won and leave it at that. If they make a big deal of it, I might offer a humble, "Thanks, guys," and that's all. Humble. Well, we can learn a lot about being humble from Jesus. He's a very humble guy. In fact, let's get into today's story. It's from Matthew 21, verse 1 to 11. So, Jesus and his disciples were all walking together as they headed toward Jerusalem. When they were really close in a place called Bethphage, Jesus sent 2 of his disciples ahead of the rest of them. Jesus said, "Go to the village. When you get there, you will find a donkey tied up. Her colt will be with her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, say that the Lord needs them. The owner will be cool and send them." Well, Jesus said something like that. In fact, this whole thing was prophesied 500 years before Jesus' life on earth. In the book of Zechariah, he said, "See, your king comes to you. He is gentle and riding on a donkey. He is riding on a donkey's colt." So the 2 disciples went and did what Jesus said. And guess what? It was all there like he said it would be. They brought the donkey and colt and put their coats on top of them for Jesus to sit on. Now, here's why this is a little strange. Donkeys are a wonky animal, kind of homely, a very humble animal. And Jesus riding in on that donkey shows that he is a humble king. You see, a person riding on a processional like this into a city would be a conquering king. Usually they would ride on a beautiful large horse, but not Jesus. He chose a donkey as a symbol of peace and humility. Jesus didn't come to conquer in the way of the world. He came in peace and humility to show love to the world. Anyway, let's read what happens next from Matthew. A very large crowd spread their coats on the road. Others cut branches from trees and spread them on the road. Some of the people went ahead of him and some followed. They all shouted, "Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest heaven." Oh, a parade! It's a parade! A very large crowd. I mean, they clearly heard that Jesus was coming and they gathered and spread their coats on the road. That was a symbol of great respect for Jesus. And they shouted at him. They shouted Hosanna, which is like a praise or hooray. And they cheered him on. Then it says that when Jesus entered Jerusalem, the whole city was stirred up. That's exciting. The people asked, "Who is this guy?" And many in the crowd answered, "This is Jesus. He is the prophet from Nazareth in Galilee. He is the humble king, the peaceful king, the loving king. He is my king. Okay, so if my king is humble, then what does that show me? It shows me that I should and can be humble too. When I say I want to follow in the way of Jesus, I mean I want to live in his footsteps and be humble too. But being humble is tricky because often we want people to see how awesome we are, and that's an okay feeling. But to be humble, we need to learn to say thanks for encouragement and praise, but also remember that we get all of our good stuff, skills, gifts, abilities from God. And so when we strive to be humble, we remember that we're no better than anyone else. And even our King, our Lord Jesus, is humble. And that's pretty cool. My name's Paige. I had a blast, and I'll talk to you soon.
Quickly, turn to the person next to you.
And answer the following questions. I can't say them right.
Question time. What does it mean to be humble? Not thinking of yourself as better than anyone else, thinking badly of yourself, or thinking you are awesome. Jesus gave us an example of what it looks like to be humble. One way he did that was riding on a cow, pig, donkey, or monkey. When Jesus rode into Jerusalem, people put their coats down on the road, waved palm branches, and they yelled, "Hallelujah, Hosanna, Holy, Holy, Holy," or "Hello." Game time! Goliath. Can you say the key verse before the battle is over? Get ready. 3, 2, 1, go! Say it with me. The Lord is my rock and my place of safety. He is the God who saves me. My God is my rock. Psalm 18, verse 2.
You know, when I think about your list earlier about humble people, I realize I see Jesus through all of that and more.
Absolutely. It just shows him choosing to ride a donkey and not a big, flashy horse, shows how humble he really was.
And it was that type of humility that made him so approachable. Whether you were a guy or girl, rich or poor, people wanted to be close to him and learn more from him.
Absolutely. So we asked a few of our friends who they know is humble and what they think humility is. So let's go check this video out.
So earlier we talked about things that we're really passionate about and things that we could see ourselves doing forever. And now we're going to be talking about humility and what it means to be humble. When I think of humility, I think of someone who is content with who they are and doesn't feel the need to prove themselves. Do you know anyone who's humble?
Probably my cousin. He gets very good grades and he's a very fast learner. And he also takes the knowledge that he has and teaches younger people, like he tutors them, and just picks up weird skills and just doesn't talk about any of it. He just...
Wow, doesn't boast, eh? Oh, that's really cool. That's awesome, Logan. How about you, Natalie?
Yeah, when I think of humble, I think of my dad. He's very compassionate towards others and he just like respects everybody and like he's very athletic and he runs a lot. So I think that he's just like, he doesn't boast about that either and he's just respecting everybody.
Cool. Thanks, Natalie. How about you, Maxim?
Someone that I think is humble in my life is my cousin Levi, because he's this fantastic drummer, but like, he's really humble about it, like even though he does these crazy moves on his drum pad and like on stage. And after he has concerts, people compliment him and he'll compliment them back. He's not like one of those musicians who's all cocky and is like, oh yeah, I'm so good and better than everyone else. He's just really chill about it.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And you, Libby?
The people that I would find humble for me are my theater directors.
Cool.
They're very welcoming, they're very loving, and they take their talents that they learned when they were kids and bring those talents to us so we can improve and be just like them and have the joy that they had when they were younger.
They share it with others, eh?
They're really kind. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And how about you, Annabelle?
So I have this dance teacher who is really kind, and she knows a lot about dance, and instead of boasting about it, she puts her knowledge onto dancers who will exceed with her knowledge of dance. She's really humble. And
Wow, that's amazing.
yeah.
When I think of humility, I think of Jesus. He was really humble. He was Lord over all, and he was God, and is God, yet came to serve humanity and to love us and to show us compassion and to even wash our feet. And I just think of what a cool act of service that was as the God of the universe. Yeah, I think that's who I think of when I think of humility.
Yeah.
This has been so cool. I appreciate hanging out with you guys today and just talking. Yeah.
What are you doing?
The guys didn't join me here.
Question time. Who is someone that you know who is humble? What is it like to be around them?
I love how all our friends could think of one person so quickly on who they thought was humble.
Absolutely. Cousins, friends, Natalie mentioning her dad.
Yeah, and when we think about what we learned earlier today, when we look at Jesus and his example of humility, we know what we have to do to follow him and live humble lives ourselves.
Absolutely. Listen more, talk less, and go and show the love of Jesus.
So let's break off into our small groups and see what this looks like in our lives.
Peace.